You've probably heard the scary headlines. GLP-1s are making people lose weight. You're going to destroy your metabolism. You're losing more muscle than you are fat. But how much of that is actually true? And how much is the internet fear-mongering you? Because if you're in a GLP-1 right now, muscle loss is something that you should absolutely take seriously, but probably not for the reason that you think. Welcome back to After the Shot, where weight loss ends and the real transformation begins. If we haven't met yet, I'm Dante. I have both a bachelor's and a master's degree in kinesiology. I'm also a GLP-1 weight loss certified coach, and throughout my career, I've worked with everyone you could think of, from professional athletes trying to maximize their performance to older adults fighting to maintain strength and independence, and everyday individuals just looking to improve their overall health and body composition. And if there's one thing I've learned across all of these populations, it's this one thing: muscle matters. Whether your goal is athletic performance, healthy aging, or keeping weight off long term, guess what? Muscle plays a huge role. So let's talk about what no one seems to be explaining properly. Here's the truth. Yeah, people do lose muscle while taking GLP-1 medication. But that's the part that's often left out of the conversation. You see, people lose muscle almost through every weight loss intervention. So the real question isn't whether muscle loss happens or not. The real question is how much. When you lose weight, your body doesn't just lose fat. You're losing a combination of fat, water, glycogen, and lean tissue. That's completely normal. I don't want to scare you off here. But the problem isn't that muscle loss occurs. The problem is you're losing more muscle than necessary. And that's where a lot of people get into trouble. One of the biggest mistakes that I see online is people acting like GLP-1 medication somehow melt the muscle off your body. That's not what's happening, so get that out of your brain. The medication itself isn't targeting muscle tissue. What's happening is that people are eating significantly less food, consuming inadequate protein, not strength training, and therefore losing muscle very, very quickly. Think of it like this. Imagine you own a house, okay? And then suddenly you cut the maintenance budget in half. You stop repairing things. You stop investing in upkeep. What's going to happen over time? Well, things are going to start breaking down. And that's essentially what happens when you drop your calories, and therefore your body doesn't have a reason to keep the muscle around. Now, why does this matter so much? Because muscle mass, believe it or not, isn't just about aesthetics. Muscle affects your strength, your mobility, your ability to function, your metabolism, and your ability to maintain weight loss over the long term. In fact, one of the biggest mistakes that people make is judging success entirely by the number on the scale. But guess what? The scale doesn't tell you what you're losing. It only shows you how much you're losing. Unless you got a fancy scale, but we won't talk about that. And those numbers are not the same thing. There are three major levers I want you to remember. Number one, strength training. If I could only choose one thing, it would be this. Because resistance training tells your body that muscle is still needed, and it keeps the tissue active. When your muscles are being challenged consistently, your body has a much stronger reason to keep the muscle. Muscle that's being used is more likely to be preserved. You're going to lose a little bit, but it's going to be preserved. The second lever is protein intake. This is where many GLP-1 users struggle. Your appetite's going to go down. Your food intake is going to drop. Meals are going to become smaller. And protein intake often falls without you even realizing it. And it's not your fault. But protein provides the building blocks that your body needs to maintain and repair lean tissue. I don't want you to think that you need perfection. You don't need to obsess over every single gram. But what you do need to do is have consistency. And the third and final lever is almost something that nobody talks about: avoiding extreme rates of weight loss. Now, I know everyone wants results as quickly as possible. I understand that. Trust me, I was there. But there comes a point where chasing speed starts working against you in the long term. Because the faster the weight comes off, believe it or not, the harder it becomes to preserve your lean muscle mass. I want you to remember this. Write it down. The goal isn't to lose weight as fast as possible. The goal should be to lose weight while keeping the body that you're trying to build. That's a very different objective. And that's the mindset shift I want you to leave with today. The number on the scale is not the entire scoreboard. Because if two people each lose 40 pounds, but one preserved most of their muscle while the other lost significant amounts of lean mass, the results are not going to be the same on each of those people. One person built the foundation, the other person simply just lost weight. So yes, muscle loss on GLP-1s is a real concern, but it's also a manageable concern, so I don't want to scare you here. The goal isn't to fear muscle loss. The goal is to actively protect against it. You can do this through resistance training, through adequate protein intake, and through a sustainable approach to weight loss. The three levers. Because ultimately, preserving muscle mass isn't just about looking better. It's about maintaining strength, protecting your metabolism, and giving yourself the best possible chance of keeping the weight off long after the medication. Because remember, this isn't a lifestyle. This is a short-term fix. In the next episode of After the Shot, we're going to tackle one of the biggest questions that every GLP-1 users eventually ask themselves. What happens when you stop the medication? Will the weight come back? Can you maintain your results? And what separates the people who keep the weight off from those who regain it? Well, I'll tell you next episode. See you there.